Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Book Talk. I'm your host, Juan Quispen. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Kevin Hart's biography. The title of the book is called I Can't Make This Up. And guys, really, the title of the book says it all. You really can't make this up because this is Kevin Hart's real life story. So if you want to find out how he went from selling shoes to becoming one of the highest paid entertainers in the world, then keep on watching. So I decided to listen to the audiobook of this version because you really need to listen to Kevin's voice when he's trying to tell you something. Otherwise, you won't really get the jokes or when he's trying to be serious. I mean, the guy is known as, he's a really famous comedian. So when you listen to him narrate his book, it no longer feels like you're reading a book, but rather like you're listening to one of his stand-up comedy events. And I think personally, I think I found the one audiobook that I can listen to over and over again. And not just because it's got, all these funny jokes, but it actually has a lot of wisdom. Part 1. Birth of a Sex Symbol. So Kevin Hart's life started with one of those lies that men tell women. Hey honey, I'll pull out, I promise. Those were the magic words that turned into Kevin Hart. And of course, his dad had no intention of pulling out. But he had no intention of getting Kevin's mom pregnant either. But that's just the type of guy he was. He never really learned from his mistakes. And when they found out about Kevin's existence, they both cried because they didn't really want to have Kevin. And that's how he was born, unwanted. But that's just one way to look at it. Because in his book, Kevin has a totally different opinion about this. He writes something more like, my life began with passion. It started with my dad's unrelenting desire for my mom. And even though he wasn't planned, his mom made the commitment to have him and raise him right. And then he inherited his mom's sense of hard work and his dad's good sense of humor. So I guess the main point of the first book the first part of the book is life is a story and you can choose how to interpret it. And your interpretation of your life writes the next chapter. And then it will determine whether your life is going to be a fairy tale or a horror story or a comedy to a disaster or rags to riches and riches to rags. So we don't really have control of the things that are happening around us, but we can choose how to interpret it. So why not choose the best interpretation that will then motivate us to achieve our goals? Part 2. Life lessons from passion. Putting all your eggs in one basket will lead to the birth of chickens that you will have to eat. So what does that mean? Love what you do. So in this part of the book, around the middle part, he goes on to explain what led him to become a comedian. Long story short, it all had to do with him accepting who he is as a person. Even though he's black, he wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the person with the most talent at sports, but he was funny. And everybody likes to hang out with the funny guy, right? So he embraced that persona. And then later when he started working at this store selling shoes, his colleagues noticed that. And then they were nice about it and they encouraged him, hey, you should do stand-up, you should go here and there. And then that encouragement was the push that he needed to start his career. But obviously not everyone encouraged him. And then there's this part of the book where he says something like, many people want you to do your thing up to the point where they no longer have control over you. So, for example, as long as they remain your boss, your mentor, your partner, whatever, then it's fine. But the moment they see that your dream is starting to pull you away from them or more successful than them, or you no longer have the time to hang out with them, then your dream becomes a threat to them. See, when we have friends, right, they like us for who we are. Right? So if you like, for example, playing video games, then yeah, your friends are always going to talk to you about video games. And then they see that persona about you. They like that. But then the minute you start talking about something that's completely unrelated about that, then they're like, yeah, forget about that, man. Don't do that. You can't do that comedy thing. It's impossible. But how I interpret that was more like when they tell you you can't do something, it doesn't mean that you can't do something. It means that they can't do something. Part 3. Life Lessons from Success. So when you reach the end of the book, Kevin talks about the backlash of success. And that's what he calls, oh my God, Kev, when are you going to stop? You're working too much. When are you going to sit down, man? You're doing this too much. And then his answer to that is, well, who the hell works so hard just so they can relax? Like, what was the point of all that grind that I did from the beginning if I don't keep on going? So for him, success is not the goal. For him, everything is just the journey. And once you reach a goal, then you need to have now a bigger goal. And again, this is everything just is a journey. And then the journey is you need to keep on building on top of what you're already building. So right now he is a really, really funny comedian, but he doesn't just want to stop at that. Now he's opening up different businesses. He's learning about taxes, and he even started making movies, as you guys can see there. And he's investing in real estate and all this other stuff. So he's just doing all this more and more and more so that eventually one day the kids of his kids are gonna be like, oh my God, like holy shit. And he's going for that holy shit factor. Guys, this book was hilarious and it was really full of wisdom. Another way you can call this book could be Laugh at My Pain, because he doesn't just tell you the good stuff. He also tells you the good, the bad, and the ugly about his life. And what I really liked the most was to see that there was so many things working against him. His dad abandoned him at an early age. He was a drug addict, and that had consequences in his life. And he was poor. He wasn't the best student in his class. He had all these things working against him, and he still managed to make it out of it. And I see that, right? I'm like, wow, if he did it, then I can do it. I no longer see him as just this guy who's in the movies or in Jumanji or this really funny guy, but I'm like, he has what he has because he really worked hard for it. And the biggest thing was the discipline that his mom instilled into him. For example, my mom she's a workaholic. She is nonstop work. And sometimes I see a lot of people telling, hey, why is she working so much, doing this and that? And I don't see that anymore. Now I'm just saying she just wants to live life to the fullest. And even though people are telling her, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, but she's like, yeah, you can't, but I can. Watch me. And that's the same mentality that movie stars, comedians, actors, all these people have. And we don't have to, and if we keep those habits, then, we eventually reach up, we achieve our goals. Anyway, guys, if you got some value out of this book review, please give this a thumbs up. And if you watch any of Kevin Hart's movies, just comment down below. Let me know which one was your favorite. I liked About Last Night. I thought that was hilarious. Also, on the screen right there, you can see my other book reviews, so definitely check those out. And subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.